Ladies and gentlemen, g'day. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Economics Mate, and this is Monetization Blitz. And you join me for another video once again, where we indulge and talk about certain things that are going on in Blitz. And in today's video, we are going to be addressing an issue, or rather many issues, regarding World of Tanks Blitz as a whole, and just where it stands currently in the current meta. I made a video yesterday talking about a sad day in Blitz when Reforge is officially released. In today's video, though, we're going to be delving a little bit more into why I think Blitz has sort of lost its not I want to say its mojo, but it's lost its significance. And I feel like it's lost its significance in a big way. As much as people don't want to accept the fact that Blitz is on the verge of, some kind of, it needs some kind of revival. Let's face it, it's going to need some kind of revival, and I think that's a big issue. Can I just also point out, for those of you who are telling me focus on the roads, I am focused on the roads. The device is on a hands-free area. What do you call it? Hands-free. Right, it's not in my lap or anything. I'm just recording as I normally would any video, right? I'm gonna have some gameplay in the background, so yeah, as I discussed. So, as I was saying, and again, this video is indeed inspired by Kazu's or Kajzu or Keizu, however the way you want to pronounce that name. As I said, he is a Water Tanks PC YouTuber, a prominent and a CC as well, and he keeps bringing up very important topics to talk about. And one of the videos that he made, in fact twice, was the big problem with World of Tanks PC. And I think genuinely there is a big problem with World of Tanks Blitz as well, and there are many problems that make up that big problem in general. Good. And I think a lot of people need to understand that Blitz has been around for 11 years, and there's certain things that have been introduced into the game many years ago that no longer have any kind of relevance in the current meta of Blitz. The first issue I think that we need to obviously address is the blatant monetization of Blitz, of wargaming in Blitz. We've had tanks that are ridiculously expensive. We've had instances where, we've had not only tanks that have been ridiculously expensive, like for instance the Chieftain prototype being, costing like nearly $2,000 to get because it was the main prize in a draw that had a significantly low drop chance, right? That's number one. We've had the Waffenträger, or the Waffen F10, or the F1.0, whatever the hell it's called. We know it as the Waffenträger E100. And that event on its own was very expensive because you had to purchase ID cards to then try and get keys to then open boxes in the after-party event in order to potentially get this tank. You get a 3% chance of getting the tank. And mind you, it's not guaranteed that you will get the tank after you open a certain amount of boxes. No. It's still a 3% chance. Doesn't matter how many you open up. I know people have spent thousands of dollars on that event and still didn't get the tank. And there are some people that got it with their free ID card. So it's pretty crazy to think that that was the case. Right? So again, the blatant monetization in Blitz, the amount of crates that are in the game, and again, that's a separate topic on its own. The crates that have been introduced into the game over the years, talking about the events, all the paid events that have come out for all these new tanks that don't need to have paid events, that you can make it free to play, or at least make it cheaper in a sense than having it ridiculously expensive. And I think that's one of the biggest problems as well, is that because of the amount of monetization in Blitz, it feels like, because again, and I pointed this out, I literally pointed this out in my video yesterday, and I said that when you literally log into the game, you're presented with all these pop-up offers and linked bundles and all this bullshit, and it's just like, we don't need this stuff. It doesn't need to, we want to streamline all, we want something that's nice, it's easy to follow, right? It's It's free from any clutter, clutter and whatnot. Just like what do you call it? Just like how it used to be back in the day. It used to be like that back in the day, right? Back in the earlier days of Blitz, it used to be uncluttered. There was no clutter. It wasn't crazy bad in any way, shape, or form. It was easy to follow. The garage was a nice place to be because it was simple back then. It was simplified. There wasn't all these bullshit tabs that just keep popping up every 2 seconds. It was nice. It was very well presented, I should probably say. And yet, they have somehow ruined the aesthetics of the garage by having all these pop-up offers, by having drawers and linked bundles and personal offers and ads to watch for gold and ads to watch for, for crates. And it's just like, stop, guys. Seriously. You need to stop. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. And it gets to the point where you don't have any other option but to just close every bloody tab that there is. And that's an end of it, right? That's it. There's literally nothing else you can do. So that's one of the problems. Another problem, and I think this is something that, what's his name? Kazu also made it very prominent in his video. He spoke about the fact that Water Tank's PC hasn't had a new map in a very long time. And he's right. And this very well applies to Blitz in this current meta. We haven't had a new map in Blitz for a long time. Why is that? Why is it that Wargaming haven't introduced a new map in a long time? Now, people may argue, but we've got Old Winter Malinovka, we've got, Lost Temple, we got Mirage back. Awesome. That's great. Those are nostalgic maps, but they're maps that used to be in the game. They used to be in the game. So to say that, these are new maps is completely and utterly wrong. It's wrong to assume that these are new maps because they're not new maps. They were already introduced into the game ages ago. So, again, it all boils down to how you see it in that sense, right? And again, I'll say it once and I'll say it again. We need something new in Blitz. Maybe a new game mode, right? Maybe a new game mode. A new map will be awesome. When a new map is released, it's usually very exciting. Why is that? Because it's new. We get to learn it all over again. We get to learn how to play it all over again, right? A new map, we get to learn how to play all over again. Which positions are strong, which areas are better for, hold down tanks, which positions are better for, tanks that want to go and side scrape, which positions are good for those tanks that want to brawl, for instance, or that want to peek-a-boom, or that want to snipe. All these things matter. And when you introduce a brand new map, it gives a new sense of hype to the game. It's like, wow, there's a brand new map. I can't wait to play it. That's exactly what it feels like, right? That's exactly what you want it to feel like. And I feel like, unfortunately, it's just not the case nowadays. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing. I want the player base to enjoy playing Blitz again. I want to be able to log into my game and think, wow, it's great to log in again after a hard day's work and enjoy a couple battles, whether it's in fun modes or grinding my stats in pubs or playing ratings, right? It's fun to go back into the game. But now, whenever I try to log in, I just feel this great despise of logging in. Why is that? It's because whenever you log in, you're just presented with all this bullshit that pop up, and it's not nice. But again, on the topic of new maps, I think it'd be greatly appreciated if Wargaming were to introduce a new map, or a new tank line. A new tank line that's another issue as well. New maps would be great. A new game mode would be awesome as well. I know 10 versus 10 was a recent addition, and it's quite enjoyable. It's basically pubs, but just 10 versus 10. And the statistics don't matter because it's a fun mode. And I enjoy that. I enjoy 10 versus 10. It's completely chaotic. But something like a Battle Royale mode would be awesome to have. I would love to have that. Like, adopting a few of the game modes that Water Tank's PC has had over the years would be quite fun and enjoyable to have. I don't understand why we don't implement more of these fun modes in Blitz. It would be great to have like a Battle Royale mode, or perhaps something like the, the Sturmtiger event that was in Water Tank's PC. That was so much fun. It was so much fun to literally just play against other Sturmtigers. In fact, we had something very similar back in the 100th year anniversary of the tank, the first tank, the Mark 1 Heavy. We had all Mark 1 Heavies that we were gifted for a bit on loan, and we played those tanks. And we enjoyed it. It was fun to play. So what I don't understand is, why don't we have these events like we did before in Blitz? All these events that we're currently getting right now, they're all monetized. Most of them are all monetized. Yes, some of them are free, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's fun. I'll give you an example of a fun game. The one we currently have right now, the mini game with the mini T34. But the only reason why it's fun is because this used to be an actual game mode in Blitz back many years ago. So all they did was just reintroduce it. So it's not even original content. It's not cool. I'm trying to choose my words here, wisely. It's not interesting to me that you're bringing back old maps that were once in the game. You're bringing back a game mode that we once had, like a mini game, which is awesome. I'm all for it, and I'm happy for that. But we need more variety. We need more innovation. I want to see something different that will keep the player base engaged. Yes, I understand Reforge is like the new big thing. Awesome. But at the current time, it's a piece of shit. No offense, Wargaming, but there are so many things that need to be polished, right? There's so many things that need to be polished. I'm all for having Reforged as the new Blitz. I'm all for it, if it is implemented correctly, like I was saying. And Keizu literally said in his video as well, and I completely agree with him on this one, he said Wargaming made over $1 billion last year. Now, you're telling me that a gaming company that made over $1 billion last year can't afford to invest a little bit into one of their games? And yes, I'll give them credit. They did in fact invest quite a bit into Unreal Engine 5 for Water Tanks Blitz. That's exactly what they did. And I'm happy that they did that. I'm very, very happy that they did that. The only problem I have with that, the only issue I have with that, is that yes, the money was invested, I should probably say, into Reforged and into Unreal Engine, but it was how it was invested and how it was managed that I have a problem with, because it wasn't managed properly. It wasn't managed appropriately, and I think a lot of people don't like the fact that Wargaming made all that money, and yet they didn't focus on what we currently have right now. They put so much focus on Reforged, and it came out like a turd. It came out like a turd. The amount of backlash that Reforged had was crazy, man. It was crazy. So that's another big thing, right? It's another big thing, is actually investing your money appropriately and accordingly towards your game. Okay, and again, I give him all the credit in the world for thinking up a new idea of introducing a new engine for the Water Tanks Blitz servers, so we can have new graphics and new physics and whatnot. And I can see that. I can see that it's trying to get there, and I believe that Reforged will eventually get there, and I do believe Wargaming will eventually revert back to all the original stuff that was in Dava Blitz. But for the time being, we're not seeing that. Okay? Now, another big problem, and then this is a really pressing problem, and I think really needs to be addressed, is tech trees, right? We need more tech tree tanks. We have so much premium and collector tanks in Blitz. We need more tech tree tanks, for God's sake. Yes, they have announced that the Polish tank destroyers will be added into Blitz, which is great. I can't wait for that. In fact, I can't wait for them to add the Grom as well, which I believe is the premium version, the Tier 8 premium, which would be interesting to see how that is balanced in Blitz. But again, they've confirmed that the Polish tank destroyers are going to be introduced into Blitz, which I'm grateful for. I'm happy that they decided to introduce something different for once into Blitz. The only question is, when is that going to happen? Because I can tell you right now, there's no other information on those tanks. Just the fact that Wargaming said they were going to introduce it. That's it. So again, introducing new tech tree lines from Water Tanks PC or Water Tanks console, something different. We want something different. Like the Stridsvagn 103B. A lot of people have been wanting that tank for ages. And yet, it's not in a tech tree. The Type 5 Heavy, that line was supposed to be a tech tree line, not just, a singular tank, right? it was supposed to be a tech tree. It was supposed to be a tech tree tank, alongside the Type 4 Heavy and whatnot, and the OI and the ONI and that. But it wasn't. It wasn't at all. And it's disappointing that it's not. But nonetheless, it is what it is, I guess. Again, that's a big problem. That is a big problem for me, and I think that we really need to address this issue, in turn. We need to have some kind of retribution in that sense for Blitz. I really genuinely want Blitz to succeed. I don't want Blitz to die in any way, shape, or form. But like these little issues, they need to be addressed. And the monetization is a fucking, excuse my language, it's a big issue, right? When you're like dumping all these monetization onto us, all these crates, and that's another issue, which is the crates. The amount of crates we have in Blitz, over 700 different types of crates. That's ridiculous. What do we need all these crates for? It's ridiculous. We don't need all of these crates to be in Blitz. Like, there's no reason why we should be overloaded with all of these crates for Blitz. There's no reason for it. I honestly don't understand why this is even a thing in a game that's quote-unquote aimed at the younger audience. Are you trying to encourage them to spend more money on gambling? Like, come on, man. Where's the ethics here? Seriously, where's the ethics? Another thing, and I think I'm gonna end with this one, and I think this is a very important note right now. Rebalancing. Rebalancing is a big issue in Blitz. Only recently, literally recently, it's been announced that there's going to be different changes to some of the tier 10 tanks. Like, how many times are they going to rebalance tier 10 tanks, for God's sake? We can't get it right from the first time? Like, seriously, what's the point of testing the tanks, or having the tanks tested by super testers, right, and clan testers and whatnot, and then come a few months after it's released and say, oh yeah, we want to rebalance it now? It's like, well, you should have thought about rebalancing it when it was tested. Like, I don't understand. It just boggles my mind that this is even considered now, that we need to rebalance all these tier 10 tanks after they've already been released, and after after it's been released and whatnot, and it's been played for a few months. It just doesn't make sense to me. And you know what? I don't agree with Droodles on a lot of things, right? But there are some things I do agree with what he says, and him talking about the rebalancing, the amount of time they've rebalanced the tanks, and he said, quote unquote, he's basically said that he's had to redo multiple videos about certain tanks in the game because of the amount of times that they've rebalanced tier 10 tanks. And I completely agree with him. It's like, well, the video I made 2 months ago is no longer relevant in this current meta because the tank has now undergone rebalancing. What's the point, Wargaming? I understand you want to rebalance it so it's more fair and whatnot, and it's better to play, but like, you could have gotten it better. You couldn't have gotten it as it was, or at its peak, or as good as it can be from the get-go. It didn't have to be right towards the end that you figured out that, oh yeah, we can rebalance it again. It's like, well, it's a bit of a piss take at this point, isn't it? So yeah, that would be my take on it. It'll be nice. It'll be really nice if they can get the rebalancing right from the get-go for a lot of these new tanks that are coming out. But yeah, as I said, the biggest problems for me, monetization, or the blatant monetization in Blitz, the lack of new maps and new tech tree lines, the lack of new game modes and potentially fun modes as well, right? The amount of rebalancing that's going on that doesn't need to go on and could have been dealt with from the get-go. Just in general, just the generalization of Blitz in general, the way it is, and Reforge and whatnot, and listening to the community. This all adds up, right? All these issues, they all add up to a major problem. And that major problem is the way Blitz is right now in the current meta. And I think, as I said, I personally don't want Blitz to die. I want it to be a game that when I grow older than I already am, and I have children of my own, I want them to log on to my own account and say, guys, here you go. This was my account when I was a bit younger. You can now have this account and you can play it, right? I want to introduce them to the game like I was introduced to the game when I was younger. I want that to be a thing. I really do. But as it is right now, I don't know. It's kind of difficult to say how long this game can last for. If Water Tanks BC has lasted for over 14 years, I think Blitz can last just as long, if not longer, if Wargaming really take the effort into listening to the community and making the correct changes that they need to change, would be my opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening and for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Once again, I am driving, but I want to make it perfectly clear, I'm not touching the phone or anything, okay? So, let's just point that out right now, okay? Anyways, look after yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Look after your friends and family. Peace in the Middle East and everywhere else in this world. And stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.